You were good enough for Google, but you were not good enough for other top tech companies. Why? What's the logic there? So people don't follow that logical thought to its conclusion. And then they say, oh my God, I got an interview at Meta. So when I say top 10%, I think it really is mindset, experience, skills, but mainly the mindset.
I was responsible for this. That's like shooting yourself in the foot.
If you got them, you can open up way more doors.
How long does it take someone to close these gaps?
This is frankly kind of disappointing because I'll see you back in 2 years. Nothing's going to change.
They landed a big fish. Should they just put all their eggs in that basket? Are officially live. Alex, what's going on, man?
Hey, man.
So for those watching, obviously you are the founder of the Product Career Accelerator, and we've partnered up. We've been working together for about a year now, which has been awesome.
Been awesome.
Absolute crazy 12 months, and we've learned a lot. The main reason why I wanted to jump on and just kind of pick your brain on a bunch of things is I talk to a lot of these PMs every day that are considering joining our accelerator, and some people might just be out there in the market, whether they want to work with us or not, now or later. There's so many limiting beliefs and there's so many unknowns with this entire process that people go through from their current role. Maybe they've been impacted or maybe they want to make a change all the way to landing their next role. And so we have a mission statement here and we're trying to solve this problem. And so I'd love to kick things off by just laying out what is our mission statement here at PCA.
Mission statement. I mean, ultimately, what do we want to do? We want to help proactive, experienced PMs have financially and personally rewarding product careers. Mm-hmm. We are kind of aiming to do this for realistically maybe the top 10% of PMs across the US for starters, which will give us plenty to do for a long while. And for me, that starts with just like thinking proactively, which I was a PM at Google. Before that, I was a PM at other companies like my own startups. And we don't really do a lot of proactive thinking. We sort of just run. And you're familiar with this. Like we just run. We do the next project. We go for the next thing, the next milestone, next career thing. And we don't ever plan ahead. We don't really think about us too much. We're always about the product, about the company. And so this was very painful for me. And ultimately, that's why I decided to create a place where we can partner up and give our PMs like a whole team to support them through the process.
Absolutely. So when you say the top 10% of PMs, what do you mean by that?
So we want experienced PMs because realistically, there's not a whole lot we can do for you early career right now. I used to help aspiring PMs quite a bit. I still have a bunch of content around it now, but the place where you need support is when you've already been experienced. You've picked up some work experience. You've tried your hand at a lot of different things, ideally. You have some domain expertise. You got the skills. You know the foundational things about being a product manager, which like leadership, alignment, communication, product skills, launching things, business models, strategy, like a bunch of these fundamentals. Mm-hmm. Which also I'm finding as we're training people, they're not that common actually to have these kind of fundamentals. So I would want, when I say top 10%, I think of folks that have the fundamentals, that have the experience. For us, I think we start somewhere around 3 years experience minimum, but a lot of the folks inside PCA, as you know, have 4, 5, 7, 10, 15 years experience all over the map. And for me, the important thing is you have a desire to actually have a meaningful and rewarding career. You're not just floating there through your career, which most of us do, sometimes present company included. So when I say top 10%, I think it really is mindset for me.
Okay.
Experience, skills, but mainly the mindset. Like you actually want to do this proactively and meaningfully.
Okay. And so whenever we are marketing our accelerator to everyone, one of our taglines is the 700K PM. Some people know the drill here, but for those who might not be aware of what that even means, can we just kind of unpack why you went with that tagline and what is that 700K PM?
Yeah, we're going to upgrade that to the $1 million PM next year. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
In 2026 is getting upgraded because we do have a book in development as well. But 700K PM, why do we go with that? It's because it's a number that shocks people that maybe have been a product manager, are not aware of the fact that there's a bimodal distribution of compensation with product management where there's a bunch of folks that are around 150 to 200, the normal high paid product managers. And then there are these 400, 500, 600, 700,000 and 800 and above. There's another whole peak of compensation ranges there. And that seems like a more interesting compensation range to me. And then when you have people that are in the 150, the normal range, there's a whole group of people that say, that's not a real thing. Alex, get out of here with this. There's still, to this day, probably there's going to be some people in the comments here and which will say, like, that's ridiculous. There's only 5 roles like that, right? Like, don't talk about, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's not the case at all. In fact, in the Bay Area, where we're shooting this, where I live and where a lot of the product management roles are, I would say like 500 is middle of the road.
500,000 compensation is middle of the road.
Yeah, that's middle of the road because you got public companies. Their equity is very valuable. It doesn't really move around too much. I mean, some of them do, but it scales to billions of users or hundreds of millions of users to billions of dollars of revenue. I mean, Apple had, I keep mentioning this, $100 billion in profit last year. So that's where those compensation packages are being paid out from. So I realized that, first of all, I want to wake up this group of people over here that think that that's not the reality. And second of all, for the people that actually are making 400, because they actually are in the Bay Area, I give them something to shoot for. And if I check my phone, because we do a lot of negotiation support, so I usually end up doing that via direct text message with our clients, doing the play-by-play and everything. There's a lot of packages in there, 600, 700, 400, 500. It's all over the map, but there's plenty of $700,000 roles, not just the biggest companies. You think, oh, there's only 4 or 5 companies. No, I think it's more like 50 companies. 50 companies where you can get that, not at the director level. This is the interesting thing. It's not really leadership level. For instance, Google, Facebook, DoorDash, all these companies, if you want to do group PM, which is, you manage 4, 5, 6, 7 other PMs, is $1 million, north of $1 million, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. I can keep going.
Yeah.
So that's why we're moving to $1 million next year. But that's what the 700,000 is about. Wake up one part of the audience, and we get a lot of interest. But some people don't believe in themselves. They think, oh, I'm different. Like, that's not, the Google PM is a magical PM. And I always say that the difference between the Google PM and you as a regular PM is that the Google PM
works at Google.
You know it, brother.
So, yeah, I think it's really interesting because a lot of the times when we're having enrollment calls and we're helping someone walk through their strategy, they don't believe it. They literally don't think it's possible. And it's something that I get exposed to more and more. And so what I want to do is help the person out there that's on the fence about whether this is even possible. I want to help them shift that belief. So we talked about the 700K PM. Now, let's say someone's bought in. They go, okay, I trust you. Let's go for $500,000. What are the most important things when we go into the first part, which is getting callbacks from these companies and positioning ourselves? Obviously, we know geography. You're going to have to come to the Bay, New York, or Seattle. That's a big one. How big is that? And then what else is important so that we can try to land these big roles?
All right, man. Okay, here we go.
Opening up a can of worms here.
Here we go. All right. So first of all, callbacks. This is the thing. So if you believe, all right, I'm good enough. I think I can do this. Now let's talk about what it actually takes. So to get the callbacks, there's a few big buckets. The first one you talked about, geography. So first of all, this is where usually people, even when they enroll in PCA already, we're doing office hours, we're chatting. I will give them homework to think about what is important to them. So one of the homework assignments I give them is, I say, after hearing what they want to do, hey, I want to make a lot of money. I want to work in this field. I want to have these companies. Prioritize what's actually important for you. So do this exercise. And if it turns out that compensation is at the top, it really is at the top, then just listen to what I'm saying and do these things. So let's say the compensation is at the top. For callbacks, number one thing is going to be recognizable companies. Obviously, that's a catch-22. I don't have recognizable companies, so how do I get recognizable companies? Well, step one is let me just tell you that's recognizable companies. So if you got them, you can open up way more doors. So what does that mean? It means if you don't have any recognizable companies, go ahead and put up your first recognizable company. Maybe it's not Google right away. Maybe it's Yelp. No disrespect to Yelp, but they're not exactly first rate. It's a great company for what it is. Or what was the one that we did fairly recently? It escapes me.
Capital One or something.
No, is actually that's another tier entirely. I actually have a whole video where I like rank these companies based on compensation and like what they offer you and recognizability. But the big thing here is recognizability. So how do you know if it's recognizable? Just ask yourself, do you know it? Like, especially as someone who's in tech and in product management, do you know this name? If I tell you the name Capital One, yeah, you're going to know it, but it's not exactly a tech name. But if I tell you something like, I don't know, Wealthfront, like Wealthfront, it's a startup, but it's more recognizable because it's an app. You might have, what's another example? Obviously, like Instagram and TikTok, those are easy. LinkedIn, those are easy. But people don't think about apps as an example. But what you want is actual recognizability, meaning the majority of people would recognize that name if they saw it. That's the important thing. Because recruiters are people. And fundamentally, they're going to be inundated by these thousands of resumes. And they're going to be looking for heuristics just like anyone would. And right now, 2025, and probably for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I can't really see beyond that, and no one can, it's going to be recognizable names. Okay. So pick up the recognizable names. Bucket one, whatever you can. Bucket two is going to be geography. You already mentioned this, right? If you want to make a lot of money as a product manager, you want to do this for a long time, I know it's expensive out here. I know it's ridiculous. I get it. But you're going to have to come out here. If 50 or 60% of the capital, venture capital flows to Bay Area companies and 40 or 50% of the opportunities in product are here, maybe you should consider coming out here for real. And don't just say, well, for the right opportunity. No, like that's where the opportunities are. San Francisco, Seattle, New York, yes, Austin, yes, Denver. There's going to be smaller hubs for sure. But these are the big ones. And the pay is bigger and the opportunities are greater. So geography. The third thing is going to be, what's the third thing? We talked about this yesterday.
Scope, impact.
It's going to be scope and impact. That's right. It's like, what have you done? And it's not, hey, I was responsible for this thing and I was working into this area and I do B2B and B2C. No, we want to know revenue, users, growth, big launches, like something meaningful that you can put right at the top of your resume that's going to get my attention.
Quick one. So you said something about I was responsible for this. And you told me that that's like shooting yourself in the foot. Why is that?
Well, PMs are supposed to be leaders. They're supposed to be doing the thing and deciding which direction to go and why and grabbing everybody along with them. So if you're coming out of the gate on your resume being responsible for stuff, that means someone gave you the responsibility already. So it's not a great start. Like you're the one who's supposed to be giving other people responsibility, following up and executing on the thing. So it's extreme ownership as part of the gig, which is why I think it's synonymous with being a business person. Entrepreneurship is the closest thing to product managers, which is why I tell a ton of entrepreneurs and like ex-founders who have a ton of imposter syndrome, can I really be a PM? I mean, I don't know. You started your own company. And you did sales and you led teams and you managed them and you launched things. Yes, you can be a PM. That's basically what a PM does. So in your resume, you got to lead with like the impactful stuff that you've done that actually gets people's attention. You got to have the geography. You got to have the recognizable companies. Then you're going to get callbacks.
And so for the people that can get callbacks, let's say we extract all that information out of them. It might not be apparent at first, but we get all of that. Then we have to do the big word, which is apply, right? So what we've learned after doing this for a couple hundred people now is that half of them, even inside the accelerator, find it hard to make the time to actually do the applications. What are your thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts. First of all, I'm going to say that I just want to go back for a moment. If you don't have recognizable companies, you don't have impact, and you don't have geography, does that mean you should give up on your dream of being a $700,000 PM? Not at all. But like, those are the gaps. So go ahead and start picking them up.
Mhm.
And we can help with that as well. We're not going to aim right away for 700, but like, we'll work with what you've got. The experience, like the thing that you need to bring, experience, because we can't start from scratch. And you've got to bring your proactivity and desire to like, this is what we're going to do.
Bias towards action.
We have to do it. Now it's going to be work. And it's not just us who's going to be working. It's going to be you. But then we can do it. We can absolutely do it. The next step is going to be, okay, we'll pick up a recognizable company. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more comp. Maybe not. But it's going to open up the door for the next time. We want to think about this like charting your path. You're not going to have an infinite career path. Your career is only, what we talked about yesterday, this really grinds my gears, man, is that like people think, oh, I'm going to be doing this till I'm 65 or something like that. Like I got a 40-year career. Not really. It's like product management is a lot more like being an athlete. So there's not a lot of athletes, maybe, I don't know, golf or something. Mostly, look, you're gonna top out after 20 years. So ageism is a real thing. And sometimes it's warranted because you folks actually cannot put in the same time as some folks that are more junior than them. So even though they might have the skills, the experience, the background, and they may win out in certain things, they will start to lose out in certain things. So you basically have to approach it holistically. You have to look at it honestly and say, is this the direction you want to go? And if so, you have to plan ahead and you have to get things done. So that's just to backtrack. I don't want to let people think that, okay, I have no shot. Forget it. Turn off. It's over. No, it's just going to take a little bit more work.
So maybe not just thinking about someone's next role every time, but thinking about their next role.
Yes,
and their
100%.
career progression.
100%. And that's also what we want to do. I mean, I started out like 6 years ago on YouTube talking to people about getting into product management. It's like, hey, college students, did you know what product management is? And they're like, I did not know. And then I get notes years down the line. Thank you. It's because of you. I actually found out about product management. I got through the interviews and I built a whole career in product management. So that happened many, many, many times. So I did start out on that path of introducing people about it. So now I want to say, if you're a little bit more advanced, great. You can build this, but I'll tell you, it's not going to build itself. You and I have already seen a situation where people come talk to us and they come back and talk to us in a year and nothing changed. They're exactly where they were. And like, so now sometimes when people chat with us and they say, you know what, I got this great new assignment. This just happened, right? The other day. It's like, we had a plan, like we're going to go switch companies. We're going to double the compensation. We have a plan. This person has recognizable companies, impact, scope, and in a good geography. And then he said, oh, I just picked up a really exciting work project. No, he didn't even say exciting. He just said, oh, there's this new work project. It's going to keep me busy. And then we said, no problem. Like, let's pick this up. When are you thinking? Hey, you know what? It might be 3 months, might be 2 years. And so I wrote a strongly worded email, which you told me to chill it
Lighten
a little bit because I was a little bit too hard about it, because I just said, all right, man, like this is frankly kind of disappointing because I'll see you back in 2 years. You're saying maybe nothing's going to change. We know where you're at. You've already tapped that out. There's nothing else going to happen. And I'll see you back when compensation becomes a priority.
Mm-hmm. And so let's say that person is in a main company, maybe it's Amazon, maybe it's someone else. They've hit their ceiling, right? Why do you think it is that people choose to dive back into their current work? Is it productive procrastination? Like, what is it?
You know what it is, man. It's just easier to do it. It's easier. Like this thing that we're doing inside PCA is not easy at all, because it's going to require you to actually get to the next level. The cool thing about this interview stuff, I know we didn't even talk about this yet, but when you work through interview, getting better at the interviews, you actually become a way better product manager. Before I used to think, hey, is there overlap between interview? Oh, it's different skills. Doing the interview and then doing the work, it's different skills. Now I think it's basically the same thing, because it's like How do you communicate with the team? How do you communicate with leadership? How do you show up? What are your product principles? How do you design products? How do you launch products? How do you think about business and strategy? Long-term mapping. How do you think about like making decisions and analytical frameworks, trade-offs? Like all of those things will help you do your job better. So, and obviously, like that's that I actually forgot what we were talking about.
So the idea is the person goes back into
right. Working. Yes, the frustrate. Like, why do you go back? So that's hard work. So it's hard work to do this stuff, to become better at your craft. And you have to also slow down to do it. Because when we're working, we're not ironing out our product principles. But when you come to our sessions and I say, all right, now we're going to work on your product principles. How do you make decisions? What is good product development? How do you work with engineers? And you're like, actually, I do know, but I got to think about it for a moment because you've already got experience. So you think about it for a moment. So that stuff is hard. So people sometimes they say, you know what?
It's like opening up a can of worms.
I'm good. I've been at this company, it's a tech company. I make like 300K, maybe 350. I'm doing okay. I'll be back. You know, I've worked here for 4 or 5 years. I've done everything I can here. I can't really get a promotion, but let me just like bury myself in this next work project because it's so important. I got to do it because the reality is they don't want to go do the work, and I get it. I don't like to do hard things. Sometimes, even when we're helping our students and PCA members get better at the interview, sometimes they'll say, "Well, how do I do this? How do I make this decision?" And I have to think and force myself to figure out, okay, what is the framework that I'm suggesting? And I have to think very deep about it. And it takes a long time. And sometimes I'm lazy about it. I don't want to do it. Then I have to do it for the members.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, and I guess this is also a message. If you're listening to this and if you're not, if you don't think you like to do the hard work and you don't want to do it, then honestly, I don't think that PCA is going to be for you, because I'm going to do a caveat to this because we did make certain parts easy, the callback stuff. I'll talk to you about that in a moment. But in general, like this stuff is hard, introspective work. It's self-development. You're going to get better. You're going to become a better PM. You're going to become a better owner, executor. You're just going to get things done better.
Mm-hmm. So before we can talk a little bit about how we're improving the process for getting callbacks and how we're making it easier for folks, but I'd love to segue into interview prep. So maybe just drop a note on that, and then we can go into the BEAST framework.
You got to stop me, otherwise I'll go on forever. So interview prep. So interview prep, there's a few important elements. Obviously, there's the behavioral side of things, which is tell me about a time that you did this, or how would you handle that? There's product design, product sense. There's analytical, there's strategy, and sometimes there's technical rounds, which are not as frequently used nowadays. So you've obviously got to deliver on all of those. And just for reference, like there's going to be heavy overlap with behavioral. Almost every company you interview with, from early stage, late stage to big tech, it's going to have some behavioral component. And the higher you go, the more into product sense, analytical, and strategy and technical you're going to dive into.
So I'm curious, we have a methodology inside the accelerator on how to actually improve interview performance meaningfully, which we can talk about. But a lot of times we speak to someone who has a meta interview in a month or a Stripe round coming up, and the recruiter's waiting for them to get back. And some people know they're rusty, and they know that they need to improve these frameworks and dust off the behavioral stories and improve it. And some people maybe not, they're not even aware of how much of a gap there is. And so as far as these skill sets go that go into really rock star interview performance, I mean, what do people get wrong about this? Like, how do you think about the overall like big mountain that we need to climb here?
I mean, there's two sides of it. I'd say a minority of folks are overly confident. I know from the folks that have interviews coming up internally, we actually have stats that show that if you do have interviews coming up, you are not aware of your gaps. So you actually are overly confident. But I think a majority of folks in general, if you take like a general pool of PMs, will have like a variation of imposter syndrome. They're
Sure.
like, oh, can I really do this? Do I really understand how to design products? I mean, I don't know. Do I really know business and strategy? So, uh, understanding your gaps is crucial. And then also nailing the fundamentals is crucial. So there's a few things to unpack. Like to actually learn your gaps, you have to dig into it and uh, as like break down each question into its subcomponents.
Okay.
So a product design question might have scoping and framing. It might have segmentation. Then it might have like user pain points, solutioning, go to market component, maybe analytic data, metrics, and you want to assess yourself on each of those subcomponents.
And that's how the rubric is set up.
So the rubric, exactly. The rubric is set up in different companies, slightly different, but there's a heavy overlap. Like they want structured thinker, structured thinking. They want product sense. They want user empathy. They want decision making ability. They want creativity. They want communication. So there's a lot of like overlaps. What the rubric is, you need to understand what the rubric is. You need to know how you're doing with each of these concepts. And on top of that, I would recommend, this is how we do it inside PCA, is the problem in each of these in the content and like what you say, meaning what you like create for this problem or for this interview question, or is it the delivery, what you say actually, like how you say it, meaning like what you say and how you say it, or is it the time constraints? Those are the three buckets. And oftentimes when people jump into like, oh, let me do a quick mock interview here to get an assessment, you're getting like this weird jumble of the content of what you're talking about, then a little bit of the delivery, how you're communicating and how you're showing up, and then also how you're reacting to the time constraint, and also a mix on all of these within the mini skills of each interview. And of course, there's like 4 or 5 different interview types. So there's a lot of work to be done. The way we approach it is we only win if you actually convert the interviews to offers. So our internal metric is more offers faster with greater scalability because we want more people to be able to convert more interviews with offers. So to do that, we need you to just get better at all of these things.
Yeah.
And that's why, again, it's going to be work, but it's going to be progression. We need you to work on this thing. Once we assess where you're at, we need you to work on this element. First, you write about it. Then you speak about it. Then you actually put the time constraints on it.
Got it. So is it that a lot of people, and I hear this all the time, they're like, well, can you just give me 10 mocks? That's all I need. And I'll be on my way.
Yep.
And I've had to kind of help them break that belief down that, oh, once we do a mock interview, that's really just a calibration.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to give you an assessment of where you're messing up. And we've got to really start from zero and build on top of these things. We start with the content, then we start with delivery, and then we do it against that time frame. And so how long does it take someone to close these gaps?
That really does depend. But I can give you a little context. And also for additional context, I did Google interviews. So when I was at Google, I was like one of the top interviewers there. So I did 200 plus live interviews with hiring decisions. And then on the side, because of course I was also teaching people on the side, I did hundreds of additional mock interviews. So I know how the mock interviews work, and I did the best that I could under those conditions. But unfortunately, sometimes you just can't make progress in that environment. You need to actually address the problems. And in terms of how long it takes, it depends on I'll give you the big rocks. Are you a structured thinker? That's a big one. Like if you think kind of like ChatGPT-ish about it, you think for a moment, you put your thoughts down into some bullets and some structure, and then you lay it out. I would like you to have more sense than a ChatGPT, but the idea is structured thinker. Are you a clear communicator? Period. If you are struggling over your words or you're concerned about how you appear to the interviewer, or you set up your camera so that the window is behind you and people can't actually see you because the light is blaring, like some silly things like that. The communication piece is what we should work on. Like, it's not about the mock interview. Just like face the window and then have the camera facing you.
With structured thinking, if we can unpack that,
Sure.
like, how do you know if someone is a structured thinker? Obviously, you said if they don't sound like ChatGPT, that's a great start. But maybe we could walk through an example, or really, like, what is structured thinking? Maybe walk me through, like, what does that
Structured
mean?
thinking, in a nutshell, when you hear a prompt, when someone tells you something, you don't just answer the thing. You assess the thing. What has just been said? You actually clarify whether there's some things that you don't understand or some things that could be misconstrued or understood differently by you or me. And you take a moment to do that. Hey, can I ask a question here? Do you mean this or that? Is there a preference of where you'd like to go? And if we're getting into interview training mode, I would remind you that as a PM, a high-level PM, you don't want to just ask a question, hey, is it this or that? You want to set a direction. Hey, it could be this or that. I'm going to go with this option unless you have a different suggestion. So you assess the information. You find out if there's any ambiguity in it. We had the approach that we take sometimes when we need to get extreme about it, when I need to make my point, I will say, write down the thing that was just asked and then make sure you understand each word in the question. If we say, I'd like you to design a volunteering product for Meta, I want you to write down design, volunteering, product, Meta, and make sure all of those words actually make sense to you. And that's an easy prompt. Prompts could get much more complex. And the reason why we make our students kind of go to that level is because, of course, in the real interview, you wouldn't maybe do it like that. You do it much faster. But when training, we need you to think about these things so that you can actually understand, get on the same page with the person who's asking the question, and then come up with an approach of how to answer, as opposed to say, okay, I understand the question. Here's the answer. No, okay, I understand the question. You and I are on the same page. I'm going to approach it using 1, 2, 3 steps. Then we could reassess, and maybe you'll have some follow-up questions.
And why is that so important? Like, why is structured thinking important when it comes to making a hiring decision?
Because nothing makes sense in these tech companies. Everything is a gigantic mess. Everybody that is a PM on any level with any experience will understand this. But at the big tech companies, it's that squared because it's just nothing makes sense. There's like 4 teams that are developing the same thing you are, and they don't know of one another's existence. Then no one understands the goals. No one understands the user. There's so many users, you can never really see a distinct user because you're dealing with a billion of them. So an edge case of like 1% is 10 million people. You're like, that's just an edge case. That's 10 million people. So everything is so complex, so ambiguous that if you don't have an approach to how you think, you're done. You're done. So the reason we zoomed in on this one is because that's a common denominator. Like, I can easily, what do I want as an interviewer at Google, Meta, or any of these top tech companies? I want to make my job easier. I don't want to wonder, hey, is this person on the fence or not? Like, are they pretty good? I can't tell. So if they just show me that they're not a structured thinker, I'm going to cut them. Like, why would I risk it?
And so with that being said, there's so many layers of interview performance that we could dive in on. Tell me about companies avoiding false positives. Like, we have to get strong hire across the board. And this is what I let our potential students know. It's like, hey, like, if you think you're 7 out of 10, yeah, that means you're toast. Because let's say Meta is hiring, they take 100 people through the interview process. They're only going to make an offer to 1 or 2 or 3, right? So tell me about the false positive and why it's imperative to just be lights out on all of the stages of the interview.
The false positive means that it's this phenomenon, but just taken to a more extreme. It's that they would rather, almost all of these companies would rather say no to a candidate that is the right candidate, say no to them, even though that was the right candidate, than make a mistake and accidentally bring in somebody who actually doesn't meet the bar. So they're okay with, Tristan, you're interviewing, you got pretty high marks, but you know what? I can't be 100% certain, so I'm just going to say no, even though you're an awesome fit. I'm sure we'll catch you next time if you're such a great fit. And the reason they do that is because they know how long it takes and how deep these people are involved in the company's business, that to then take a poor performer out is a whole gigantic problem. And the PM is like the conductor, right? They're connected to everything. So you take a PM out, I'm sure my engineering friends would make a lot of fun of this and laugh about how PMs think they're so important, but really they are. They're trying to orchestrate these products, trying to make them make sense for the customer and within the business. So to let them come into the business and then it turns out these are the wrong folks, that's very, very painful. So like you said, they got to get strong marks across the board. You can't be ambiguous. You can't have mixed signal, because a mixed signal means they're going to say, I'm leaning higher. There were some positives, some negatives, and then the hiring committee, of which I've been a part of, was just going to say, no, we pass. Because, yeah, there's some hires, but there's some kind of mixed signals. We can't tell. So the answer is no.
And so what about the person who's super qualified to solve the problem that company's facing? Let's say they're interviewing at top 50 firms, Stripe, and they've got the fintech background, they've got all the experience, and they go, I was the right candidate, but they rejected me. Is that what's happening? They just did not ace the interview?
So after each interview, we ask our members to do a self-assessment. Obviously, understand, did they actually make any mistakes from their judgment, right? At the point that they're going in to do the interviews, they're already calibrated to run these interviews. So they understand what the rubric is. They understand how they performed. So all we want is for them to say that first of all, they gave it everything they had. They felt good about them. And they were not able to identify any mistakes that they made. So if you were truly qualified, you feel like you're a great fit, and you did not get the yes, I would say keep pushing and try again for that company. Try maybe for an adjacent role. Try to talk to the recruiter to see, hey, I felt like the interviews really went well, and I'll have these conversations on the phone and just say, is there some signal that the interviewers did not receive? Perhaps we could come in and I could chat with them about it. Maybe analytical, maybe product sense. Can you give me a sense? And we've actually had situations where wherever we've had mixed signals, they gave us another shot. And then you can come in and okay, that was a mixed signal. Now I need to train up and get a little bit better, get a little tighter, whether you're, again, content delivery or time constraint.
Got it. And so with interviews, obviously someone gets a meta interview, they might not be aware that they should go and try to interview at the other companies.
Oh my goodness.
So What happens? What do you say to the person who they landed a big fish? Should they just put all their eggs in that basket?
No, you shouldn't. Because if you already got a Meta interview or you got a Google interview, why can't you get another 10 top companies? Like, you were good enough for Google, but you were not good enough for other top tech companies. Why? What's the logic there? So people don't follow that logical thought to its conclusion. And then they say, oh my God, I got an interview at Meta. Time to go all in. And then even if they're very well prepared, like there's only so much you can do. Maybe you can have 80% odds at the end. You're still going to miss 20% of the time just because of things that are outside of your control. So yes, we want you to have multiple interviews. We have a person coming in with great experience, recognizable companies, and they had 5 interviews that they got in big companies within 2 weeks. And then we got on a call and they're like, all right, so now I'm going to focus on the interview prep. And I told them, no, you got 5, let's get 10. This part is important. Of course, the interview prep is important, but we got to fill our calendar. That's why I'm always, every office hour, every opportunity, I'm always talking about top of funnel. People don't want to network. People don't want to apply, right? We're back at the application stage again. But yes, fill up your calendar, of course. Don't necessarily go all in. Don't lose the opportunity, because Meta has a 12-month cooldown. So if you blow it, you can't really be back with them for another year. But you have to balance these things. And I usually, it's a balancing act between how many interviews you've got lined up and how you prepare for those things.
So let's say someone's like, man, 10 interviews, that sounds like more than I can handle. And we've got Thanksgiving and we've got
Yeah.
Christmas coming up. I mean, what are some of the things that you tell that person?
So I go with our athlete analogy again, but lately we've been thinking about it a little bit different because it's not just an athlete. Because you do this every 3, 4, 5 years, meaning switch jobs, interview aggressively, go for higher compensation, significantly higher compensation. It's an Olympics moment. Like it's every 4 years. And if it's the Olympics and you're an Olympic athlete and you get a cold or something like that happens, what are you going to do? Are you going to skip the Olympics? No. So I get it. I get it. It's hard. It's super hard. But I just want you to show up for this moment. Again, if you are the type of person who wants to build this kind of outstanding career, you're going to have to do these things. You have to think about it that way. You just show up for this moment. It's going to be hard. The skills translate to your on-the-job performance. 100% they translate. You're just going to be a sharper operator. And then you put up those interviews, you prepare, you go all in, you get the compensation boost. Then, of course, you have to keep the job, separate conversation. But that's it. You don't have to do this stuff for the next 3, 4 years.
Okay, so it's showtime at that point.
Showtime.
And so some of these folks we talk with, and then they're maybe afraid to invest in themselves, and they think our tuition ticket is too much. But then they go and burn Instacart, Snapchat, Meta, Stripe, and they come back and they say, "I've lost it all. I've whiffed it." Right. So, what are your thoughts around the opportunity cost? Like, what's really at stake?
Yeah.
If they whiff these Meta opportunities, I mean, is it really $250,000, $500,000? Like, how do we think about the math there?
I mean, I've thought a lot about this because it's these conversations that we talked about. It's like this person who's going back in to focus on his work, just do more work. If you're at 400, you could be at 700. If you're at 300, you could be at 600. The opportunity cost is like $30,000, $40,000 a month every month. That's the opportunity cost. And it's okay if you make the trade-off, hey, I don't want to do it, but I just want you to be aware of the fact that that's an opportunity cost. And also, it's only an opportunity cost for some time, because at a certain point, it's going to be much, much harder, even if you have the experience. So it's a opportunity cost fixed in a moment in time. So I take it very, very seriously. And over the course of a year, over the course of 2, 3, 5, 10 years, we're 100% talking about millions of dollars in your pocket. By any calculation, you do the calculation. Don't listen to my calculations. Go do your own calculation. First, you have to believe that these numbers exist. Go do your research. These numbers exist. It's not like a unique snowflake situation. This is what product management pays right now. If you believe that there's no fundamental difference in the skill, then it's just a question of doing the work to actually get those roles. And therefore, the opportunity cost is real. Now, you multiply that by the fact that if you want to go to eventually management, if you want to go into becoming a leadership product person, director, the opportunity cost becomes like you get 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. My VPs at Google, who I used to beg to take any action at all, be bringing home 5 to 10 million, easy peasy, as a VP at Google without taking any action for a year straight. Separate topic, as you can imagine. It's been like, I don't know how many years, but I still hold the grudge. But anyway, so the opportunity cost becomes really, really high. It's just, I don't count the VP. I don't count the 5 million in the opportunity cost. I'm talking about your next step and the next step. If you're 150 now, 300 is your real opportunity cost, but you need to do the work. So, and then if your next jump is going to be from 150 to 300 in the next 6 months, but then your next jump is going to be to 600 now in 3 years, and then to 1 million in 7 years. Those are real jumps, absolutely doable. So now you're look at that delta over the next 10 years is going to be millions of dollars, however you cut it.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people haven't thought strategically about their career whatsoever. They've been in the sand, shipping, and
Yep.
they're in the field and they're bogged down with all those things. And when we jump on the call with them, this is the first time they've ever had anybody ask them about their career.
Mhm.
And sometimes they think it's just all sales. And it's like, why are you asking me these questions? Well, it's like, well, let's unpack it for a second. Like, where are you at right now?
Yep.
Why are you motivated to leave Walmart right now or wherever you're at? What is causing you to want to make this change?
Yep.
And where do you want to end up? And people have never thought through this ever. Why? I mean, is that why you built this company? Because no one is solving this problem? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I think, there's so many corners of the world where if you look at it, it doesn't make sense. And then you just add a tweak to it and suddenly it makes sense. Like we've had multiple members refer to us as like, just when I chat with them or when another of our PCA coaches chat with them, they're like, you know what it is? I think I need a product therapist, like a career therapist. We've been basically serving and acting as that role because, like you said, we're the first ones that ask them, hey, what are you actually trying to do here? Like, what are you doing? And because product, it's such a weird role because a lot of us just randomly ended up in a product role, doing business, consulting, like some random customer facing stuff, maybe marketing. And then like, oh, wait, I think there's this thing called product management. I think I can be pretty good at it. So you just inadvertently end up there. And then you even more don't have time to think about your career. So I think, for me, the reason why PCA was so important is because at Google, I had nobody to talk to. So like I couldn't talk to my manager. I was a first-time manager, didn't understand really what he was doing. And then you obviously sometimes cannot talk to your manager because the thing you want to talk about is your manager and their inability to like synthesize or like micromanage or whatever. So obviously you can't talk to your manager. You can't talk to your Skip. Skip does not care about your stuff, which is like the next level up. They're mired in their own stuff if it's a director, et cetera. Can't talk to your spouse. My wife, 10 years, she does not, I don't think she knows what product management is. It's like a running joke. She's like, I'm not exactly sure what product management is. My kids think, I don't even know what they think product management is.
Like you're an astronaut or something.
You basically have nobody to talk to. And you get these mentors inside, like these Google mentors as an example, and you just check in like once a month. They don't know what's going on. They're not invested in like what you're doing. They just sort of give you these generalities that are not super helpful to where you are. And certainly no one is asking, where do you want to be? What's important? Is it compensation? Is it progression? Is it working on meaningful stuff? So this stuff is important. Like that's your job. You spend half your life doing this stuff. Like be proactive about it. That's the whole point. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, it's so much to unpack. And I think for those watching, like I'm not a product manager.
You're kind of quickly becoming one.
Yeah, I think from the outside looking in, you guys are just so busy. And it's just like we're having to reschedule the meeting 3 times and we finally get you in the middle of the day and we have a conversation about what it looks like. And it's like, well, let me ask you, 6 months from now, ideal scene, vision board, where are we at? And they go, huh. And they go, I've never thought about that,
Mm-hmm.
Or they have, and it's just something they thought about 6 months ago, or they have been brewing on it, but they've never had an outlet and it's just a big pipe that's about to bust. And so a lot of times we're only reaching these people when the straw has fallen on the camel's back and it's almost too late. And then we're being the opposite of proactive, right? And they've got meta in 3 weeks and they don't know what's happening. So let's say we get them to callbacks. We ace the interviews. We've done all the prep. Let's talk about offer negotiation. What do people get wrong about this? What are people most surprised about this? And we're doing a lot of play-by-play, and this is where you come in and you're in the field with them. I mean, what's happening on these back and forths with our students? And then what are people missing and why can't they just do this themselves?
Yeah. The offer negotiation piece is like that. You can have an entire PCA program just on offer negotiation. You just contact us when you got an offer and we'll obviously make it better. We make it better just because we have data. Like we place a lot of product managers. We work with a lot of the top companies. We know what the offers are. So just on the data piece alone, and of course there's like levels FYI and places that give you this data. But the thing is, They give you this data, but we actually work this data. Like we negotiate these things. We know where the limits actually are, what the chances that there is going to be a rescinding or not rescinding. Like is there going to be a chance that they say, hey, you know what? No, thank you. Like you want to negotiate? We're out.
How do you prevent that?
So step one, data. We know companies, we know for the different roles, what's the situation. We understand historically what has happened. Number two, of course, we know the positioning. So we've tried different methods of discussion, conversation, partnership. Like the way that we do it is very straightforward. Like we like to lean on excitement about the opportunity, gratitude for the opportunity, partnership. We partner up with the recruiter, with the team. Like we want the same thing. But how do you do it? The play-by-play, people don't negotiate offers ever, right? We talked about this. We negotiated 100 of these things in the last couple of months. And then product managers do this 3 times per lifetime. So just the doing it, the saying of the words, like I can tell you exactly what to say right now in this video. And then because you're going to have a slightly tweak on the situation, you're going to be like, well, mine is a little bit different. Like the recruiter used these words. So we'll have like play-by-plays, literally. They said this, what do I say? And I bet a lot of people listening will understand that they would like a partner like that. Because I'm a pretty good negotiator. Again, I have a lot of experience with this stuff, but a lot of people are not. So they've told us, man, that this has been like invaluable. Thank you for the play-by-play. I would have never gotten this much. I would have never done this. I would have never done that. And in the end, I got a better offer, more offers, higher compensation, just all of this stuff. It's in a way, it's like the simplest for us to deliver. And it makes a huge impact. Like it could easily pay for the investment for PCA like many times over just within that last mile. And people have said that to us.
And so whenever someone's coming with an offer, they've never done it. They're kind of like bringing a knife to a gunfight, right?
Yep.
But why is it that we can push for extra in the first place? Like, why don't they just cut us the big check? Like, what actually happens? Like, why?
Why do companies even give you different offers than they can give you? Oh, so we talked about this a little bit. Like, companies are not giving you money as a gift. They're just making an investment in you. Every company that has ever hired anybody is making an investment in that person. And you know what they want? They want a return on their investment. So their reserve rate, they're paying you $1 million, but they expect to make 40 million from you, 30 million from you. And if you doubt what I'm saying, just go check out their quarterly revenue and profit numbers. And as you and I talked about yesterday, just go drive by the CEO's house to see how much shareholder value is created in the Bay Area for some of these tech companies. That's a real thing. So people are sometimes like, well, wait a minute. Why do these companies do that? Like, if they know it's worth X, why do they give me less? Well, what are you talking about? They're trying to get a better return on their investment. That's a natural thing for them to do. It would be strange if they came out of the gate and gave you something else. Now, some companies do try to do that, but it's a bit of a prisoner's dilemma because they're, so example, actually a good example of this is car dealerships. You can like negotiate and it's expected you negotiate. Tesla came in and said, actually, no, there's no negotiation. This is the price. So some companies will come out of the gate and they'll say, we don't negotiate. This is the amount. But in tech, it doesn't really happen. We haven't seen that happen yet. And I think there's lots of reasons to unpack of why that happens. But for better or worse, all companies try to get more bang for their buck. And of course, we as the candidates want to go the other way. We don't mind that they get a return on their investment, but I'm not too concerned about the shareholder value and that SVP that I was telling you about gets an extra $1 million bonus. Like I'm okay. I'm okay if they get 5 million instead of 6, but PCA members will get a higher compensation.
And let's say someone is working with us or they're not working with us. Like, how would you recommend someone prepare for these conversations? I guess step number 1 is don't accept the first thing they say.
I mean, see, that's the problem is no matter what I say, like it could be a case by case situation. So you're like my best practice. I think I have videos on offer negotiation. Is you have to try to approach it like a business person. Like you want to find the optimal spot so that you align long-term incentives. In fact, that's my aim for PCA members is I want them to align long-term incentives with the company. I want to understand what the equity component is. I want to understand how they can influence the equity based on the things that they do and the impact they deliver. And I want it to be, as we always say, hey, recruiter, what we're trying to do here is just align long-term incentives so that I, as the PM incoming candidate, don't think about money for the next 4, 5, 6 years. That's the frame. So use that frame. You're never going to go wrong with that frame. But after that, asking for ranges, figuring out whether or not you can squeeze in a little bit extra here in the base and the bonus and the equity in the one-time starting bonus and things like that. That's going to be a play-by-play. It's going to be tough. It's hard for me to say.
Generic.
You can use the data, but at the end of the day, like it's hard for me to say, hey, are they really going to rescind the offer or not? I can tell you this. Big tech companies usually will not rescind. Sometimes they have, but usually they don't. Smaller companies, especially early stage companies, anything goes. They could easily rescind if they think that you're not serious enough.
So with the big tech companies, if they're making you an offer, there is some room.
Usually, almost always. We've never had a situation where there was no room. Try to do it verbally. If you get an offer in writing, then it's going to be harder to move. Don't text and email your negotiation. Hey, I'd like another 40,000 right here. Don't do that. They don't like this paper trail because then it's going to go on the internet and then more people are going to ask for more. So get on the phone and talk. But that presents a complication. People don't feel comfortable doing negotiation on the phone. They'd rather have ChatGPT. I think it's equitable. Honestly, if you got nothing, just do that. If you don't want to join PCA or something like that, just use ChatGPT and write them a thing. Maybe you're going to get some movement. More likely, the thing to do is on the phone, have the negotiations.
Okay. And when you were at Google, did you just take the offer that they gave you?
No, I definitely did not. That was like, earlier in my career, but obviously I come from a business background, so I treated it then as an ROI moment. I didn't really treat it like, hey, I'm so happy to be here. How much do you pay for a worker like me? I think of it like you're investing in me so that I can generate a return on your investment.
What was the delta there?
It was big. It was a big delta. I think they came out with something like a $400,000 equity offer. It was a while ago, but they said, I think we can offer you about 450,000. And I remember, texting with a few friends who said, oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations. Google is incredible. We didn't think you could get it, but you got it. Good job. Like, when do you start? And I was like, I asked him for $1 million more right on the call. So don't necessarily do that. But like, I came out of the bat and I said, hey, you know what? It would be a lot better if we could get closer to $2 million on the equity.
And what did the person say? And you're going.
And then because I didn't have the data at that point. I was just very much like a lone PM, and but I didn't think they would back out. But again, that was just a kind of a gutsy move back then. It may work out for you, it may not. The point of PCA is that we can give you a little bit of that
strategic,
it was like
data-driven
when
approach.
to push, when not. Feel a little bit more confident in it. Also develop the relationship in a way where they can bet on you. You've got to be someone that they can think they can get. If I just came out and said, yes, I would like another $1 million, please, if you don't mind, with no context. Obviously, I set it up. I made sure there was a partnership framing to begin with. I'm very excited about the role. Like, I spent significant time on that. That stuff matters. That's relationship building. And I also meant it, 100% meant it. We never tell a lie. Anybody. Like, we inside for negotiation, for interviews, for applications, we will sometimes omit things that are harmful to us because you don't want to step on your own foot, but we will never tell a lie because you want to maintain your reputation long-term. You want to play long-term games. So when I set up the frame, when I asked for $1 million and did the thing and just waited, the recruiter said, okay, you know what? Let me try to work with the team and see what I can do. They came back with, I think, something like 850 over the top.
Met you in the middle. So I think the main message that I want to invoke for anybody that's listening that is doing this with or without help, whether it's us or not, I mean, why is it that they should take this more seriously? Obviously, some people are proactive. They come in and they're just committed 2 feet in the door. But for the people that could and should be, and it would benefit them tremendously, I mean, what is the real message? Like if you could just shake them and suspend all of the, everything else, like what is the core essence of what are you trying to let these people know?
Your career is simultaneously longer than you think and also much shorter than you think if you're in tech and product management. You have early career is important, mid-career is important, and you have this basically peak earning capacity that happens, somewhere around late 30s, maybe early 40s, peak earning capacity. And it's maybe uncomfortable to think about these things. Like, what can I ever earn? Like if you have a desire to run your own company or build a business and have like no ceiling to the compensation, that's a separate discussion. But if you're going to stay in product and you want to make a lot of money in product, which is very, very possible, we didn't even talk about like the IPO stuff. You could join Stripe pre-IPO or like OpenAI or NVIDIA, for instance, and just be a millionaire just to doing any job at NVIDIA. Is like everybody's a millionaire there. So there's plenty of opportunities for wealth building, but you just have to be proactive about it. I just don't want you to spend, first of all, I want you to enjoy what you do. So this is the thing. We said not just financially rewarding, but personally rewarding. I don't want you necessarily to work on this stuff that you hate. Like you should like the work that you do. There's plenty in tech that you can work on that is enjoyable and could be a net positive for the world. I know. It's hard to imagine that such products could exist, but they do. In fact, YouTube is one of them. Well, 5% of humanity's waking hours maybe is a tad too much, but like YouTube feels like a net positive for the world. Feels like a strong net positive. I don't have a lot of other examples right off hand. I did a whole write-up on this. But so my point to you would be, think about your career, think about what you want to actually do, and understand that it's not going to happen on its own. It doesn't matter how strong your career you think it is. We speak with plenty of people that have been in the same tech company, top tech company for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, but they're not moving. You have to be honest. What's next? We want to partner with people that want to build big careers, financially and personally rewarding. If that's you, then come and chat with us. Because we
100%.
want to do this over a long period of time, not just for your next role. It's just so much more fun and better to do it with a team of people that are all oriented in the same direction. Like our whole purpose is to make you be successful over the long-term horizon.
Absolutely. Well, I know that we've got a bunch of more content coming out and we're going to continue sounding this horn, but it's been great to kind of dive into the message behind the LinkedIn post and how you're actually thinking about things. So if you could point anybody, where would you go? Where would you tell them to go?
YouTube page and LinkedIn page. We post every day on LinkedIn and at least a couple times a week with some deep dives on YouTube. So,
and it's not AI, is it? It's actually
it's
us.
all real. Yes, all 100% real. No AI. And in fact, we're never gonna do. If you ever see an AI Alex, that's not real. Like that's not us. Never.
Cool. Well, it's been a pleasure, man. We'll see you on the next one.